Paul Johnson. Coach, if you could open up with a quick statement.
Yeah. Just really frustrated. We didn't play particularly well in the first half on offense, especially on some short yardage stuff. Couldn't seem to convert. Thought we'd made some good adjustments at halftime. Came out to start the second half with a horrendous special teams play to take the ball over on the 8-yard line, and actually got it out of there pretty good. Then we get a penalty, get behind, have to punt, flip the field, put them down on the 5. They make 2 or 3 first downs, flip the field, put us back on the 8. So it's going to be one of those games. Then we take the ball, move it back out to midfield, and then lay it on the ground. And then third and whatever it was, 12, 15, they hit us for a big play. Okay, kick it out of bounds. The very first play, we lay it on the ground. They score, they kick it off, and we lay it on the ground on the kickoff return and pretty much get out of reach. Thought we'd cleaned that up, but clearly we haven't. So, you know, there's a small margin of error. We can't win games where we turn the ball over 3 times, start the half with a penalty, start the first drive with a penalty. We stayed away from that. Today we didn't do a very good job of it. So.
Okay, questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. Got a microphone.
Well, you've talked, quite a bit about the difference in this team between winning and losing is that ball security and penalties. And the last 2 games was an example of when you don't put the ball on the ground, the offense is successful. Today was the opposite example, I imagine.
Yeah, it was, and we had some chances in the first half, and we couldn't finish. Well, we got in the secondary, and we just couldn't get away. You have to give them some credit. We didn't finish any explosive plays or any big plays, and we've got to do a better job clearly coaching ball security. That comes back to us. You can't have the ball out swinging when you're in a crowd and have it on your hip. And, I feel like we try to stress it, but clearly we're not stressing it enough.
Chris Rump really was disruptive in a lot of your option stuff.
He's going to be disruptive when you don't block him. The first half, never mind. We made some plays.
Was it more of an execution issue?
It was stupidity. It was calls by the offensive line. It was stupidity. And so then they had the receiver turning out, and the guy would shoot the B gap. Yeah, that's what it was.
Coach, going into this game, do you have any idea of the level of animosity that would kind of go on between Duke and GT from the previous game?
I don't know. I thought it was a football game. And, I talked to the officials at halftime. You got to call the thing tight. And if you let all the jawing go and you let the pushing go and those things, that's kind of what happens. And I don't think it was an issue in the second half.
So you say like their calls would be at the line that were?
Yeah. They were making offensive line calls. We were in a heavy formation. We practiced exactly what they did all week. And then we got a guy up there who thinks he knows more about it, so he's going to make a line call. And the receivers don't know. When you tell them, they're going to turn out. So they were turning out and leaving the gap for the guy to run through, and he runs through from behind with nobody blocking him. Yeah.
How does that happen?
I don't know how it happens. Poor coaching on my part, I guess, is how it happens.
Coach, how important is it to have Andrew Marshall out there at right tackle?
Well, it helps. I mean, we were without Andrew Marshall. We were without Jalen Camp. And we were without Steve Dolphus. We had several guys out. Person not having Cravante, he can finish some of those runs.
How about Taquan? He got to a hit, didn't come back. Is he all right?
No, he didn't get hit in the head. I think he's going to be okay.
It seemed like
It wasn't a head injury. He didn't get hit.
No, I said took a hit.
Oh, yeah. I think he's going to be okay. We won't know until tomorrow, but we still want to put him back in. He's sore.
I mean, defensively, it seemed like they played a pretty good game, except for a couple of the short field situations they got
We
put in.
played well after the first series. You know, we've done some good things defensively. And then when the turnovers started, it's like we went crazy there too. We got misaligned and they hit the wheel route and we, you know, turned the guy loose on 3rd and 12. The guy slipped, but the guy he was beat by a mile when he fell down, you know, so, or it looked like to me from the sideline. And, so yeah, I mean, you take the positives and you try to grow from them and you correct it and you go play. We can be a pretty good football team if we don't turn the ball over and we don't have penalties. But when we do that, we don't have the explosive guys to create.
Coach, do you have any questions about your team's mental preparation after the last 2 high-scoring games that you had to mental stuff?
No, you know, I thought we had a decent week of practice. I'll be honest, from week 1 till now, the practice hasn't been much different. The two weeks that we were really executing the practice was about the same as it was this week. I think sometimes when we start out and we don't have immediate success on offense, guys try to do too much and they don't just kind of go with the flow and go with the system, and then it gets worse as opposed to just kind of playing.
But you pretty much had what you wanted. You got the ball in the second half. You had a chance to, you know.
Yeah, it was 7-7 at halftime, and yeah, I thought we were in. I told our guys at halftime we're in great shape. We get the ball first to start the second half, and I think maybe other than one game, and it might be we scored every time we've had the first possession of the second half. We scored all year, and then we go out there and have a terrible kickoff return and get a penalty on top of that, and you start on the 8 and you claw your way out and get to the 50 and you're moving the ball, or get out, I don't know, maybe it wasn't to the 50, but we got out there, you know, close, and then we jump off sides. You know, we had their guy. If our guy don't jump, because they were trying to time the snap up, we jump off sides. It's 1st and 15 instead of 1st and 5. Can't overcome it. Have to punt.
You said you pretty much saw the adjustments you needed or made some adjustments at halftime.
There wasn't a whole lot of adjustments. I mean, they lined up exactly the way we knew they would. I mean, just like I'm sure they can tell you, we ran what they thought we would. I mean, when you play each other, that's what happens. And we just did a very poor job of execution. And you can't turn people loose and create negative plays. It's hard to play when it's 2nd and 12 or 2nd and, you know, whatever. You've got to try to get positive. You know, we're a pretty good team if it's 2nd and 6. We can do that. And then in the first half, the other thing that killed us was missing on the 2 short yardage situations. I mean, normally we're pretty good at that. I look back and it was very poor execution, and I probably could have helped them with a better call.
Couple more for Coach.
You kind of had a bit of a rocky start with the new defense, but it's really kind of improved down the stretch with like Andre Moore really kind of stepping up. What are your thoughts on how the defense has kind of evolved over the course of the season?
I think Henri has played really well. He's a good player. And, you know, like I said, other than the very first drive, which I don't even know if they had a second down on that first drive. They kind of went just boom right down the field. And then we kind of settled down and played pretty good. We got a couple of stops, got a 4th down stop, got a couple of turnovers, and was playing pretty good. So there was no reason to believe that it was going to change in the second half. We probably didn't play quite as well in the second half, but as you said, they had a short field too, you know.
Do you feel there may have been some communication issues with the secondary on defense? It seemed like a couple times they were looking at each other like, you know.
I don't think so. I think you can ask them. I don't know. We're in man coverage on the touchdown. Hard to miscommunicate on that one.
It seemed like there were 3 kind of opportunities to have momentum changing plays that didn't go your way. The punt return that the guy inexplicably fielded at the end zone and manages to barely escape, and then a couple of fumbles that they had that you weren't able to get. And it seems like if you get one of those plays, that might have swung the game.
Well, here's the thing: the game, there's a real small margin of error for us for this team, and it's just like those calls on the fumbles. If you notice, they didn't confirm them. But they left it with what had been called. If they had called it down, they would have left it with down. If they had left it, you know, so, yeah, but the bottom line is don't put the dang ball on the ground. That's the bottom line. And we talk about it and preach it and chirp it, but evidently we're not doing a good enough job coaching.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Coach.